Okay, we look at feces formation and defecation. And defecation. All right. So when you are talking about this, that means you have passed the ileum. You have passed the ileum, and what you have now is unabsorbed food. The terminology you must use is unabsorbed food. This is what you have. Okay. So what does this unabsorbed food made up of? What do you think is this unabsorbed food is made up of? It can't be made up of glucose, amino acids cannot, because they're all absorbed. So unabsorbed food is basically, all right, food that cannot be digested. So to a large extent, they will be the fiber, dietary fiber, the dietary fiber, all right. To a certain extent, they will be dead cells, cells that have died. There are lots of cells that die off. Okay, so they have to be got rid of. So they form part of your feces actually. So right now they are at the unabsorbed food, and then you have bacteria. Okay, you also have bile pigments. Bile pigments. Okay, these are some of the contents of your unabsorbed food. Okay, some of the contents of your unabsorbed food. Now, on top of it, it also contains toxic substances. So, toxic substances. You see, your liver deals with toxic substances that are absorbed into your into the circulatory system, into the transport system. But there are also toxic substances which your body refuses to absorb. And that toxic substances will move into your large intestine. From the ileum, they'll go into the large intestine. Do you understand? So this I said, this is after the ileum. All right. So this unabsorbed food, which I'm talking about, is now present at the large intestines. And large intestine is your colon. Okay, it is there now. They have arrived at the large intestines, and this unabsorbed food is pushed forward towards the rectum. So it's pushed forward towards the rectum, and the process involved is peristalsis. Okay, so peristalsis is very important every step of the way to cause the movement of food, whether absorbed, unabsorbed, until it reaches the rectum. So that is what is happening. Now, okay, besides this, you also have mineral ions. You also have water. These are the unabsorbed water and mineral ions, so to speak, like excess. Okay, but it's not that they will not be absorbed. It's just that they are present. Okay, so right now at the initial part, it is still in a liquid form, still in a liquid form because of this. Now, as they move through the large intestines, mainly water is reabsorbed. Okay, water is reabsorbed. Okay, and ions, mineral ions are also reabsorbed. So what is absorbed largely? Let's take out of it here. What is absorbed largely at the large intestines? Water and mineral ions. It has to happen. So the absorption of water especially slowly converts your unabsorbed food, which is the liquid state right now, to a semi-solid state. Okay, semi-solid state. So when they become a semi-solid state, when lots of water is absorbed, now you have what we call feces. Okay, so feces is basically all this. All right, so all this, okay, are what we call feces, but of course the water is very much less, and you still have some ions which are not required will also be present. Okay, so that is basically what feces is composed of. So by then it will be a compacted semi-solid waste. So that means feces is a compacted semi-solid waste. That's how you describe feces. Why is it compacted? Because of the absorption of water. So let's say at the large intestine, you are asked the question, what happens if the large intestine fail to absorb water? So if your large intestine failed to absorb water, as I told you, your unabsorbed food, how was it initially? It's the liquid state. So your feces will be in the liquid state. So if your feces in the liquid state, that's where when you when you carry out defecation, your defecation will release feces in a liquid form, and we call it diarrhea. So you are suffering from diarrhea. That's not a normal condition. That's an abnormal condition. So many reasons that lead to defecation. One of it could be food poisoning, all right? Or some kind of infection that you're having or facing, all right? Okay, all right. Now, let's go back to the normal condition. In a normal condition, feces is formed, which is a compacted semi-solid, and eventually it will be stored in the rectum. And as more feces is stored, the pressure builds up, and finally, when the rectum is quite full, the pressure exerted will cause you to defecate. All right, that's how the defecation process is triggered. Okay, so that concludes our what you call feces formation and defecation. All right. So let me conclude. All right, let me conclude that formation of feces occurs where? In the colon or the large intestine, while defecation occurs where? It occurs in the at the rectum. Okay, all right, through the anus. Okay, now let's continue. So if they ask you what's the importance of defecation, you must understand. So defecation is a way of discharging waste and unwanted toxic substances. That is defecation. All right. So what if you do not defecate? All right. That means there will be a pressure buildup because these substances will be accumulated at the rectum. I already told you, when substances are accumulated at the rectum, pressure will be built up. When pressure builds up, it can lead to headache. You can have a headache, abdominal pain, a lot of stress and discomfort in the abdominal region. Therefore, that will be very, very uncomfortable. Okay. And if defecation prolongs, if you do not defecate and this storage of feces prolongs, they will slowly become hard. So hardening of the feces will take place. They'll become more solid. And when that occurs, it can lead to hemorrhoids. It can lead to what you call piles. All this can be developed. And if this persists, it can even risk the contraction of colon cancer. So in other words, it is what you call very important that the process of defecation occurs in a very regular and a healthy manner. All right. And for that, you need peristalsis. And for peristalsis, the recommended diet is a large proportion of dietary fiber, such as fruits and vegetables. So let's say failure to defecation. Failure to defecation leads to constipation. Failure to defecation leads to constipation. And that's what I was trying to tell you, the dangers of not defecating, all right? Or if you have problems of defecating, all right?